Hello and welcome to the Chronicle by Joint Point Media. Please, we'll welcome to Gaurav Sehgal. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro.
Good to see you as always.
Good to see you. Yeah. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. It's a very nice studio.
Yeah. Great to have you here. Yeah. So Gaurav is the CEO of Siam Green, cannabis trading.
Company is Siam Green Trading. The brand is Siam Green Cannabis Co.
Siam Green Cannabis Co. Yeah. And you've been part of that since the beginning? Co-founder?
Since the very beginning, yeah.
Yeah, co-founder.
Yeah, co-founder.
Yeah. And why don't you just tell us a bit about that beginning, about why you wanted to get involved, and how it started.
Okay. Short, long, medium version.
Short to medium.
Okay. I'll start when I was in college.
Yeah.
Not the cannabis experimentation, but the epilepsy diagnosis. So I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was around 19. Dealt with side effects of the epilepsy medication for about 8 years, and
which were like
the side effects ranged from very severe insomnia to irritability, hot temperedness, all types of things. Quite common of epilepsy medication. And around 8 years in, I had discovered CBD. Since we're going with the medium version, we'll just say that CBD cured me of all of these side effects in a very short amount of time, about 3 to 4 months.
Whoa.
And, in those 8 years, I had experimented with Valium, with Xanax, with all these other medicines to help counteract the side effects of the epilepsy medication. It's not a nice place to be in, right? Because you build up a tolerance to each one, and you have to keep changing your medicines and so on.
And then that actually makes your mental health, that damages your mental health, right?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I didn't really suffer from mental health issues as a result. Who knows what would have happened if I had kept on that road, right?
But maybe you weren't quite as sharp.
Could be, definitely. I mean, that's a side effect of those types of medicines that they help you sleep and things like that. 4 or 5 months, or say somewhere between 3 and 5 months of taking CBD religiously every day, completely cured me. I never had those side effects again.
Wow.
And at that point, I was like, why? How dare this be illegal? How dare they do this? Because it's a way for me to get off of all these other horrible medications, which of course have side effects of their own. And you just become like this walking side effect, right, at some point. And got into CBD at that point. I was already in kind of food and beverage manufacturing and the organic agriculture business, which was a nice trampoline or bouncing board for me right away to get into the industry as CBD opened up. In Thailand, I think I had a pretty unique experience in sales, marketing, and operations, all to do with agriculture and products. So as soon as that happened, I got the chance to join, one company, not the right fit, another company, probably the right fit, but not the right, not the same end vision as the founders of that company. Found investors, and at that point, my project that I wanted to do was a CBD line, which we're only discussing now, almost 2 years in. But got investors together, found friends to get involved and all of that. And we had at that time discussed so many different business opportunities, right? One was a CBD line that I was looking at. The other was a massive hemp project. And we were just not able to put our finger on what we wanted to do until June 9th, 2022 happened. And everybody said, okay, look, cannabis, well, when I say cannabis, I mean in the sense of THC, right? Of the retail stores that you have going on now. It's, lack of a better word, sexier. I say lack of a better word because I think CBD is also sexy in its own way, right?
Yeah.
But sexier because there's a lot less education. People already know it. People have more demand for THC than for CBD. Only because of the education factor. People were not educated about CBD as much as they were about THC. But at that point, we collectively made a decision, okay, we're going into retail. And my personal kind of passion or drive into this was always health, because that was my entry into this whole thing. And so we said, look, we'll do dispensaries. I don't even want to call it a dispensary. Let's call it cannabis retail. Do cannabis retail. And not only will we sell cannabis flower, but we'll have a big focus on health. We want it to be inviting. We want to destigmatize. We want to get away from the fact that cannabis equals Bob Marley, dreadlocks, all those things. Nothing wrong with I love Bob Marley, big fan. Big fan of dreadlocks as well. I've never had them, but
Rastafarians say Jesus smoked weed, and that's why they smoke weed.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's more about separating the tie and just making it about cannabis can be for everybody, right?
Yeah. Classic marketing is kind of about making things sexy and about making things attractive and about sort of giving in to your urges. And I'm really interested in your perspective over how applicable that is in cannabis and what sort of other methods or other ideas, maybe through the health angle, that you kind of think about.
Yeah, I think, the way we went into it was a bit of an uphill battle. I think if we went the full classic dispensary route, right? With the reggae music and the bongs and all of that type of stuff, life might have been a lot easier. But we went straight into kind of destigmatizing, which no matter what industry or what product you're in is going to be an uphill battle, because stigmas are strong and they're very, very, very strong to fight against. And we went into that knowing that it's going to be tough, but knowing that we're really kind of sticking to our values, which I think us as a brand or as a company, we've been very good at. There's a lot of things we could have done that would have made the numbers look a lot prettier, but we held strong to our values and to kind of what our main mission and vision and what our goals were. And making it about health, wellness, also about recreational and all of that, everything that it comes with. But, when you go into one of our stores, it's not intimidating, right? Similar to what you guys have here. It's an easy place for people of any age, of any gender, any ailment to enter, ask questions, and learn. And for me, education is just the backbone of destigmatization, right? I come from the mindset that I have yet to meet somebody who really understands cannabis fully, sustainably, health-wise, recreationally, from all the aspects of the plant itself. Economically too. Who's against it?
Yeah.
Nobody. You will not meet somebody who's fully educated, who's openly against it. And so that's my mission, has been destigmatization and education.
Yeah.
And they both, continuously get into this loop of feeding each other.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people who are pro-cannabis around the world are devoted to the special, nice, healthy side, and that we kind of just sort of give in to the maybe more, less sensible side. And there was always both sides. And you did see in Thailand, a lot of the, bongs and street culture type dispensaries. And it's interesting to hear that you feel like you probably could have done better, but you would never have allowed it. You couldn't.
I think so. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's one part of cannabis culture. But I also think that is the part of cannabis culture that feeds the stigma. It's just a different mission, right?
Yeah.
I think, and there's nothing wrong with that side, or if people want to feed that stigma, because like I said, it's a part of it. It's just not the part the angle that we were going for, because we chose the difficult and uphill battle of educating those who don't know about it, right? Which is why we choose, I say less intimidating, but what I mean is more inviting to those who don't know about cannabis.
Yeah, more secure, mature, refined, official.
Yeah,
kind of things.
Refined, mature and secure, yes. Refined and official, I wouldn't say, because it's not really about that. It's just about comfort. It's about be comfortable, come in, ask questions, don't feel pressured to buy. But if you come into the store and you buy something and leave, great. But if you come into the store and you learn something new about cannabis that's beneficial, or that's or how it benefits, people in the world and society, and you leave without buying anything, I'm equally or probably even more happy. Because it's feeding the mission. Feeding profit and all of that is great, but feeding the mission, there's a whole different type of satisfaction to that.
Do you think it's because it creates, something bigger, and the lore, and you feel like it's actually having an impact in people's lives?
That's it. That's it. Yeah. It's just all about impact. Like, it impacted me so nicely. It got me off such horrible medication. And at that point I said, I'm sorry for my language, but people fucking need to know about this, and they need to know now. People need to stop fighting against something because of a bad reputation that it was given by a certain sect of people many, many years ago. It's good for the environment it grows in. It's good for the soil. You can replace paper with it. You can replace building materials with it. It's good for health, for recreation. People don't consume it. I mean, people consume it and don't get into fights or car accidents. It's okay. Smoking, fine, has some harmful effects to your lungs, but consider smoking cannabis to nicotine. You're getting some healthy and medical benefits from this, right?
And I've also heard a few accounts that smoking cannabis, moderately, doesn't actually damage your lungs that much.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of back and forth.
I mean, I guess it depends on the people and stuff, but it's nowhere near as harmful as tobacco. Yeah. To me, economically and historically, it's really, really interesting, the Thai market right now, and particularly your position and your perspective, because you were just in agriculture and social enterprise and other businesses before, and now it's cannabis. You entered the legal cannabis market. I mean, Thailand's quite different from the Thai market's quite different from other parts of the world too. But yeah, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think being an entrepreneur in general is a lot less sexier than it might seem on the outside. It really means that this whole 9 to 5 thing doesn't apply to you. It's 1 minute past midnight to literally the following midnight, right? That's your work hours. And it's not that it's better than a job or that it's worse than a job, but it's just different, and it just depends what you're built for. I mean, if this is probably not really answering the question.
Fine, tangents. We love tangents.
Yeah, but I think it's you have similar risks, right? If you have a job, you can lose your job. If you have a company, you can lose the company. You can make mistakes, and and things dwindle. I've been a part of that before, and it's not fun. In fact, losing a job is probably a lot more fun because you get compensated and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You lose your company.
You're not to blame and stuff.
You're left with nothing. Not only that, but the worst part is you've affected so many other people in their lives. It's really not fun. It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of lost sleep. But in this case, for me, it was really just like, I need to follow this mission. I need to do it. And there was nothing that could have stopped me at that point. A lot of people thought I was crazy. A lot of people said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" It's such a, it looks bad. It's a taboo thing. And I said, that's exactly why I want to do it. We need to get away from that. And if I can even play 1% of a role in that, like, I'm gonna do it.
Hell yeah.
You know. But I think the difficult part is that we have to deal with all the aspects of a business, but we also have to deal with the political volatility and uncertainty that comes with it, which you don't have if you're opening a coffee shop, right? Nobody's going to say, oh, coffee's going to be illegal next month, and 2 months later, like, okay, no, it's legal now, and it's a lot of headache we have to deal with, and you know, all of us in the industry are just like, government, make up your mind and let us know how you want to regulate this, and we'll decide how we want to, or how we're able to proceed. For us, it's, you know, we're going to proceed however the law guides us to, right? What would be nice is if we didn't have to self-regulate, if we were given the regulations on supply chain, on storage, and all that sort of stuff from the government.
That seems like it requires some collaboration.
Absolutely does.
And are we getting that? Are we seeing that?
We're getting that now. I think I don't know if it was part of the plan or it was a shock to the government that, you know, how many stores opened up and how many people got into it, but it had to be part of the plan, because if you make a sales license for something like cannabis, you know, less than $100, you're going to get a lot of people trying to sell cannabis, right? So at that point, it was just open, and you saw it. It was literally the Wild East.
Literally, yeah.
And now it's at a point when regulations are starting to change, or they're talking about them very seriously changing. The government is having more and more conversations with people in the industry, with other entrepreneurs, with business owners and scientists and all of that. So it had to happen at some point. It would have been nice if all of this happened before and then they made it legal, but you know, it didn't, and that's okay. I think take it as it goes. We'll still take that, and as long as we can continue business. I think they are now taking the right steps to be able to, in Thai we say control or regulate, I guess the industry is the right word.
Regulators!
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Be like a sort of responsible parent, because, I mean, it's sort of funny, like, there's more sort of like pop psychology, and now people are a little bit more literate about that. Like, politics is a little bit more in the forefront of people's minds. So I feel like there's a bit of an energetic,
shift.
More balanced, slight shift to make things just a bit more balanced, maybe. It might just be in my head, but it feels like there's a bit more, the conversation's a bit closer. There might be a tiny bit more accountability, maybe, from certain sides, and a tiny bit more like benefit of the doubt where it wasn't before. But that might just be me making it, just speaking out my ass.
I can see that. I agree with that. I think conversations are becoming more, I don't know, like more about, you know, if somebody talks about cannabis, say 20 years ago, it's automatically assumed they're talking about smoking cannabis and getting high. Where now when people talk about cannabis, people are starting to understand the different associations. Do you smoke it? Do you take CBD for sleep? Do you take it for anxiety?
And that is slowly becoming part of the culture, in that, like, it might be rude to assume someone's a dirty stoner if they talk about cannabis. Like, we're beginning, that's, nearly becoming a thing.
It's becoming more real, you know? But, you know, my parents, I always use this example, 10 years ago, they probably, or say more than 10 years ago, because I was taking CBD 10 years ago, but 20 years ago, for them, cannabis and heroin and cocaine were probably the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, or the same level of madness, right? Today, like in the past 5 years, both mom and dad have taken CBD.
Cool.
They saw what it did for me, right? They not only what it did for me, but the passion I had in like helping to spread the word about this. And I have uncles and aunts who are probably more conservative than even they were, who are now open to it as well and starting to ask me about it for their friends.
Wow.
And things like that. So it's all part of the mission. And, you know, if my I don't want to say conservative, because they're not really your average conservative Indian parents, and Indians are known to be conservative, right? But my semi-conservative Indian family is asking me where they can buy CBD or how much is a bottle of CBD and how will it help sleep. I think that's a really big job well done,
Hell yeah.
in terms of destigmatization, because these are tough people to push through a stigma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like it really shows that the proof is there.
Yeah.
Like the maths is there. It works. Because I shared the same feeling as you that you mentioned earlier on. Like, how dare they make this illegal?
Yeah.
How dare they make all these kids suffer? Like all these seizures of kids.
Yeah.
For no reason, and it's it hurts to think about. But like, yeah. But you have to make a case. You can't just say it hurts.
The problem is you can't go back. I get a little emotional talking about this,
Yeah.
but you can't go back to all the people who have died and suffered, whose families have suffered, and talk to them about how they didn't have to suffer if they were exposed to something like CBD earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And these cases are probably in the millions. I don't know the numbers because they don't exist, right? Because you don't know, because it's illegal.
Mm.
But you can't do that now. And what you can do, and what the medical community or government should be doing is, okay, I get it. You don't want to start giving this to patients right away, but fund the research. Get involved in that. Play a role in something that will actually save lives, make people's lives better, make people healthier.
Then you can kind of, if we get here in the conversation, then you start to ask, well, are some of these decisions not in our best interests? Sir? You're like, hey,
Yeah.
if there's been all these cases of suffering, and there's a clear argument. I mean, and I'm also talking about in other countries, like how it's kind of particularly raw in America, because, and especially smoking weed, blah blah blah, okay, fine, you can deal with smoking weed being prohibited. It's obviously unpleasant, but it's not as life-threatening as seizures. And I was watching a documentary about a boy who was basically confined to Colorado for his entire life, because as soon as he left, for his entire childhood, because if he left, his parents could then be sent to jail for child abuse, because he was receiving life-saving medication in Colorado. And just the parents were just saying how, like, yeah, we're just not leaving the state for 10 years. Like, okay.
Yeah. It's medieval.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like,
Yeah.
This is a plant that doesn't kill people, that's more or less unprocessed. It's just dried, right?
Mm-hmm.
That people consume. There's no chemicals. It doesn't go through any type of processing. You just literally dry it and consume it.
And I'm kind of interested in the sociological thing, because it was like about 100 years ago when you had like the Rockefeller lobbying stuff beginning, the pharmaceutical medicine, and then also like, the rise of more corporations and conglomerates and stuff. And that's how I feel like they were able to sell the idea that processed is better, because it was like, because the last generation was the 1800s, and like shit was probably, not super sanitary,
right.
Not amazing plumbing, not amazing electricity, the very early electricity and like very early cameras and stuff, and people were like, hey, this processing things, like making cameras, making cars, all of this cool stuff that we can do now, like, yeah, like that also works with food. Like, it was kind of an easy sell if you think about it, because food also, wouldn't have the best food hygiene, best food freshness, like keep it in a can, stays fresh. Like, before refrigerators came in the 1950s. So like
canning and pickling.
Yeah, exactly. So then all of this processing stuff did kind of make people feel safe. And I can kind of totally see how like it was the sell. I mean, what they didn't have to do was make the herbal remedies into quackery and witch and sorcery. They didn't have to do that, but they did that because they knew that cannabis was such a big threat
Yeah.
From what I read.
I mean, if you look at the numbers, right, and you know, numbers is data, right? It doesn't lie. Numbers are data.
Numbers is data is God.
I think last year was the first time in the U.S. that the sale of cannabis overtook the sale of alcohol.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
You know, and I don't know if this is a fact, but I would be confident to say that countries where cannabis is legal, sale of certain medications would also go down, like sleep medications, possibly Tylenol, these types of things. Right?
Opioids went down in America, didn't they?
As a businessman, I can totally understand the fear that the alcohol industry or that the pharmaceutical industry has, right? Because for them, it's a business as well. Cannabis has an unfair or competitive advantage over alcohol for letting you do that without the aggression, without the car crashes, without all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah, and the liver disease.
Yeah. It has an unfair advantage over something like Valium, which will help you to sleep.
Yeah.
Without half the side effects. So is that considered not fair? No, I don't think so. I think that's just considering like what the two different products are. Now, the pharma industry has an unfair advantage over cannabis because they have way more money and they can spend that money to promote their own business versus promoting others. Why would they promote others? It makes no sense for them.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't like to
judge.
No, not judge. I like to judge, but I don't like to attack.
Yeah.
Big pharma or big alcohol or big media, because these guys are doing whatever they can to keep their heads above water, using whatever competitive advantages they have.
I would only attack someone verbally with if they try and lie.
I don't like liars. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with
That's
liars.
it.
Yeah, that I'm on board with.
I grew up a bit more of a country type person, and my parents were a bit more liberal, a bit more a bit more anti big pharma, a bit more hippie-ish, but but still refined and more plant-based remedies and all that. So my conditioning is to not trust big pharma because they make mistakes, whereas plants don't make mistakes. Like, if you know the plant and you know yourself and you know your condition, you feel a lot better because of the general effect, which I then learned was actually referred to as the entourage effect, which is all of the different aspects of a plant medicine or treatment becoming greater than the sum of its parts, is this sort of common phrase. I'm not an actual competitor of Big Pharma. I do media, so I'm a bit less risk from attacking. But like, I would say that any time that anyone has lied, it was from a place of weakness, because and fear.
Fear. Yeah.
Because you want to protect your interests, you want to protect your family and stuff, and it's actually like, if you did trust the universe, then you would be like, well, if I should maintain my integrity and not say that cannabis is bad for you, because I know that it's not bad for you, and I know that if I maintain my integrity, then I will be, then next opportunity will come to me. But actually, that's a risk because it's a dog eat dog world out there. So yeah, I do understand, but it's like, and I don't necessarily blame them, but I do kind of shine a light on the fact that a lot of business and a lot of commerce is fear and twisting the truth a bit. And
I agree. Medicine has been dubbed modern medicine and alternative medicine. Modern medicine being allopathic, which is doctors and hospitals and pharmacies and stuff, pharmaceuticals, and alternative being actually what medicine always was before all of that, right? Mm-hmm. I think there's a big movement kind of shifting slowly towards that, and I think everyone can see. You see it more in the news, you see it more when you go to a supermarket, when you see the organic aisles, you see more shops selling supplements and all of that type of stuff made from natural ingredients. I can't count the amount of influencers online right now are going to supermarkets and showing you products and talking about, going for the one with the least amount of ingredients and whole foods and all of that, right?
Because it works.
So I think what's slowly happening is that's becoming the more modern medicine, because modern medicine, not to hate on it, like I went through some health issues in the last year.
Yeah, they can do good stuff.
Modern medicine saved me. You know what I mean? What's done modern medicine? Like I needed that.
But it's not everything.
But I believe that, frankly, to be very honest, it's more reactive. And I think that natural medicine is more proactive. You know what I mean? Like you go to a doctor when you don't feel well, but you take supplements to avoid feeling ill.
Yeah.
Or you eat healthy to avoid getting sick.
To feel stronger. Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, I mean, frankly, I love junk food. I love snacks. I love sugar.
It is good.
You know what I mean? Like it's great. But so if I could and eat it and be healthy, like I would just have that all day. But I choose a healthy diet. I choose a healthy lifestyle because I want to live as long as possible for my wife and son. I want to feel good. I want to get out of bed feeling great, not in pain, and things like that. So I think it really is about that. I think both are necessary. I think when you can get, my acupuncturist said it perfectly. He said, for some things, I can't help you. Like acupuncture cannot help. You need to go to a hospital if you have something. So I think what needs to be clear is like, look, nobody's trying to shut down modern medicine or big pharma. We're just trying to raise light on health in general, right?
And so what do you feel, how much do you feel of like the idea of self-determination and self-authority is to do with it?
In what sense?
In a sort of sense of like, the reaction, like big pharma and the reactionary norms, kind of holds the authority in the doctor, and it sort of holds this like, well, you're not fully sure, you can't be sure until you see a doctor. You have to stay in complete anxious uncertainty until an authority figure tells you what to do. And I'm like, that doesn't sound very self-determination, self-authority to me. But smoking weed underground is completely self-authoritative. So I think to me there's something in that. There's something related to the cultural discussion of legitimizing natural remedies that is kind of tied to the self-determination and self-authority. Like, have you ever thought of it like that?
Yeah, in fact, I've had conversations with people about this, and I have an aunt who is a doctor who also sees it the same way, and which was nice to hear it from her, because they call it a second opinion. Like when you see a doctor and you want to get a second opinion, it's called a second opinion because that's what you're getting. You're getting the opinion of one doctor, seeing another one and getting his or her opinion. It's not really like, I don't know how to put this. Okay, there's some things that's not really opinion. It's like, okay, you have this disease, that's a fact. This medicine will cure your disease or will help treat your disease, and that's a fact. But if you go in with something, the last year, you know about this, I've had these like gut pain issues. One doctor, his opinion was that it was to do with my gut. Another doctor's opinion was that it was to do with stress, sending a signal to my gut causing very severe pain. And that's when I really thought about this. It's like, when do you know how to trust what a doctor is telling you? Because it's really just an opinion. So,
and they're just at work.
That's it.
They could be having whatever day.
That's it. So for me, it's really about getting as many opinions as possible and trying to see if there's a pattern.
Yeah, because that's data points. That's intelligence.
The more data, the lower the risk, right?
Yeah. And the more accurate the projection is.
Exactly, and I take that to business as well. Before starting Siam Green, I was distributing cannabis to other retailers, and it was to collect data. Frankly, it was to understand the market better. And you can do the same thing with your health, right? Like you get different doctors' opinions. The more you get, the more accurate of a kind of confirmation you can get. And it might never be a real confirmation. Till date, I still don't have a real confirmation of what was causing this immense pain that even morphine would not cure, would not get rid of, and morphine and fentanyl, which are horrible drugs. And I'm someone who does not like to take strong medications, especially painkillers. I don't know if this answers your question, but I think it is an opinion when you go see these guys. Sometimes it's not, but the majority of the time I believe it is. Whereas I also believe that you know your body best. You know what I mean? Like, you know what you need to do for yourself half the time, unless you have this random thing like immense gut pain that comes out of nowhere, right? But like, you generally know what you need if you can really just form a good relationship between your mind and your body.
Totally. I mean, me as a tarot card reader, I've never had to convince any people less. Like, Thai's very normal, very professional, and they all believe in magic. And I'm like, oh, great. So do I. I don't have to convince you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool, and then it makes, which is an very interesting interplay in society, which then also makes their cannabis industry very interesting as well, because it has the opportunity to blend these, blend these boundaries.
Sure.
Which is, I think, is really exciting. Especially if they're like, okay, you can keep it, you can keep your industry.
Yeah, 100%. I am big on preventative care. Like I really, especially through the last year, or as a result of the last year, take really good care of myself, right? Like, and that includes food, sleep, supplements, exercise, and all of that type of stuff. But I'm still a hypochondriac who goes to the hospital at the drop of a hat, right? I feel, my wife, it drives my wife crazy because something small happens and she's like, listen, you're fine, just wait it out. And I'm like, no, I need to get checked.
Smoke a joint, mate.
And, I don't have that mindset. So I don't know. I just know that I have a lot of respect for modern medicine and alternative medicine.
That's a good position, yeah.
Yeah, because, I've benefited so much from both. So it would not be fair to the industry of modern medicine for me to hate on it.
That's really cool.
I don't think I would be doing it justice because I've, it's helped me, it's helped my family members, it saved, my mother's life. So yeah, I believe in both. I just think that both have their place.
We're on a journey to legitimize alternative medicine.
I think so, and I think that is a more difficult battle. But social media, and modern world, and even AI to an extent.
AI loves weed for some reason.
AI is a great place to go to ask random questions that like you feel almost uncomfortable asking a doctor, or you know what I mean? You can go to AI and say, recommend me medicines and supplements and natural plants, and it will do all of that for you. There's not many people where you can go to one person and get recommendations for just a whole range of,
and like non-bias.
No bias.
Yeah.
So I think there's a movement. I think I would urge people to just educate themselves, learn however you can. And this isn't a plug, but if you want to learn about cannabis and CBD, drop into one of our stores or ask AI or search online, do whatever you can, but get educated, because especially if you're against it, educate yourself. And if I would challenge you, if you're fully educated and still against it, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Or tell me, because I want to meet somebody who's fully educated on cannabis and says that they disagree with it.
Where are they? Yeah, that's a fun challenge.
Person. Yeah.
Let's find them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you out there? Yeah, that's a wonderful place to end, because it's basically essentially put your money where your mouth is. Like, all of the data is here. Please prove us wrong. Please.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's happened with psychedelics. Now they're using it to treat PTSD and all types of stuff. So this is all a part of this movement that I'm talking about. I just think it's going to take time, because educating billions of people takes a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money, and it takes a lot of people willing to do the educating.
Which there's a few of us.
There's a few of us.
Yeah, we're doing our
there's
best.
more and more of us.
Well, I think that's a good place to end.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's been great.
Yeah, great time. I will plug Siam Green. Very good dispensaries, lovely lounges, top quality weed, and some of the best educated staff in the Thai market. So,
Thank you. Thanks so much.
yeah. Thanks very much, G.
Cheers.
Many blessings. See you next time.
You got chronic, won't you fly?
I'll do take two, because I think I'm going to call it the Chronicle now.
Call it the Chronicle?
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. Just took me until episode 5 to figure out.
You know how we run.